Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Shadowsports podcast. It's been a while since we've last done one. I think the last one we did was the Pro Bowl going into Super Bowl 51. Sorry about that. Our lives just got really busy at that point in the year. School and everything, final exams coming up, all the important stuff. But now we're back here, 5 weeks into the next NFL season. But before we get started with the NFL games, I just want to quickly go over something that just happened today in the World Cup qualifying for 2017. The 2018 World Cup. The U.S. men's national team coming into today just had to win their match against Trinidad and Tobago to qualify for the World Cup, but instead the U.S. men's national team lost that match 2-1, and also Panama and Honduras both won both of their matches today, meaning that the U.S. men's national team will miss the World Cup next year in Russia. This will be the first time since, I think, about 1980 that the U.S. men's national team has missed the World Cup. I'm joined here by Nick.
Hello, everyone.
Nick, do you have any thoughts about that right now before we start into everything else?
It's a big surprise to everyone that the U.S. national men's team was the Cup this year, but I do think they'll be able to bounce back within coming years.
They have a good star player in the rise, the 18-year-old Christian Pulisic. He's had a good year so far with the men's national team. We'll see. We would like to see what he would have done in the World Cup next year, but unfortunately, we'll have to wait till the next one for that. And it is a big surprise. I mean, even Iceland, which has a population of about 300,000, was able to qualify for the World Cup, and the U.S., with how big it is, and all, could not be able to qualify. Anyways, now we're going to get into our next topics here about NFL. It's been 5 weeks so far into the season. We've had some big surprises here. First, we're going to go over some big-name injuries that's happened recently. One of them, Odell Beckham Jr. for the Giants. It seems like that he will most likely be out for a majority, if not the entire season, after suffering an injury this past week against the Chargers in their loss. What kind of impact do you think this has on the Giants as a whole, Nick?
Loss of Odell Beckham Jr. is a huge loss to the Giants. They're already a struggling team, and as they keep losing offensive and defensive weapons, they're truly putting themselves back into a place where they can't bounce back.
Yeah, and this was a team which, with the additions that they brought in, like Brandon Marshall to help in their wide receiving core this past offseason, this was a team that everyone thought would, be there to battle it out in this tough NFC East. And as of right now, the Giants are 0-5. They haven't won a single game. Brandon Marshall has not really appeared in this offense. And in addition, with Odell Beckham Jr. being injured in last Sunday's game, the Giants also had 3 other wide receivers injured in that game, with that being Brandon Marshall, Sterling Shepard, and Dwayne Harris, their return man. So the Giants are getting thin in offensive weapons. It's going to be tough for them to bounce back. They have a tough schedule ahead. Do you think that the Giants have a possibility of going 0-16 now with all these injuries that they've had?
Absolutely. They've got Brandon Marshall, Odell Beckham Jr., Dwayne Harris, all set on the injured reserve, season-ending surgeries for most of them. And then they've lost weapons, line with Josh Banks and Evan Schwan, more wide receiver with Keon Johnson and Kevin Norwood. I can't see the Giants too many teams to win, or a loss, my bad.
And again, that's also something that we thought of with the Browns last season too. Luckily, they were able to pull off a win against the Chargers last year. But so football's a crazy sport in that regard. It happens week to week, any given Sunday. But the future does look bleak for this Giants team as of right now. Another injury that came from this past Sunday, J.J. Watt of the Houston Texans will miss the rest of the season after being injured on the opening drive of the game. And, J.J. Watt, he's had injury troubles these past few seasons. Last year, I think, was the first one where he missed a substantial amount of time with his injury, and he's going to miss a lot of time this year. He's going to be out for the rest of the season. What does this injury affect the Houston Texans defense in that regard?
J.J. Watt, with his injury to his lower fibular plateau, it really shows just how much that he's aged as a person and a player. He's gone 2 seasons now where he's missed a majority of games, being last year and this coming year. And defensively, J.J. Watt is the heart and soul of that defense. Yes,
that is true. Luckily, the Texans don't seem to be in the most amount of trouble right now. Their rookie quarterback, Deshaun Watson, has been playing amazing ball on the offense, so it isn't the end of the world for this Houston's team. But, this is a blow. Like you said, he is the heart and soul of that defense. So we'll see how Deshaun Watson can hopefully step in and try to lead this team going forward now with their really main leader there going down. So now, we also had a trade come up on the day of this recording. Earlier this morning, the New Orleans Saints traded running back Adrian Peterson to the Arizona Cardinals. And of course, the Arizona Cardinals did lose their running back, David Johnson, to injured reserve. He's out for the entire season. Earlier, I think it was about week 1 or week 2. So now they're getting Adrian Peterson there with their running back core of Chris Johnson, Andre Ellington. Do you think this helps out the Cardinals in any way?
Absolutely. When you lose a weapon like David Johnson, you have a gap that needs to be filled. Some teams have the luck and have a spare guy who can step up to the plate or was in that kind of situation. Also, Adrian Peterson was having issues not only playing with the team, but even getting into a couple arguments with head coach. So I think leave of the Saints is a good note for him.
Yes, it's as good. He wasn't getting much carries there in New Orleans. You would think with this trade that he would being more productive, more active in that Arizona Cardinals offense, especially with their inability to run the ball as of late. So they're hoping that he can fill in that void for them to help open up this offensive attack. And now we want to talk a little bit about the surprising storyline for this team that has been playing this year. The Los Angeles Rams, of course. Last year, we know that the Rams drafted Jared Goff with the number 1 pick. They didn't play him at all until the later half of the season. They started out good 3-1, and then it's all just went downhill from there. So they fire the head coach, Jeff Fisher. They bring in Sean McVay. And once again, the Rams have been doing surprisingly well this season. As of this week, they are 3-2 in the year. Their only losses being to the Washington Redskins and the Seattle Seahawks. Ben, the big storyline here is just how improved Jared Goff and this offense seems to be under McVay. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Absolutely. Jared Goff and the offense, including Todd Gurley, are just putting on an amazing show. They're making dynamic plays week after week and showing people that LA does have a football team that can do something.
Yes, that is true. The Rams actually also could have won the game last week against the Seattle Seahawks had Cooper Kupp not dropped that catch in the end zone, which would have given them the lead against the Seahawks in the closing minute. But you can see that there is potential there. This offense, it's like you said, it's just wonderful improvement from Jared Goff. The downside about this Rams team, though, right now is their defense. They've given up a lot of points so far in this early season, but part of that, I think, might be growing pains from switching from a 4-3 defense from last year to a 3-4 defense from this year. But I gotta say, the Rams look impressive. It feels different from their 3-1 start from last year. This one feels different. They're actually going out there scoring points I'm excited to see what this Rams team can bring in the future.
Absolutely.
And so far going into this week, the only teams without a win so far this season are the Cleveland Browns, the San Francisco 49ers, and the New York Giants. I believe that is it.
Yes.
And the only undefeated team so far is the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, to end this off, we're going to be doing our picks for the Week 6 matchups of this week. First, we're going to start off with a Thursday night matchup. The Eagles going up against the Carolina Panthers. Who do you got for this?
In this game, has been putting on a great show, and I think they are one of the few teams who can really DC what Carolina's doing right now. An amazing show, but Philadelphia with Carson Wentz as quarterback are really putting on some dynamic moves and have the potential to be an absolute playoff team.
Okay, so you're saying the Philadelphia Eagles over the Carolina Panthers?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm going to have to go with Carolina. I've liked what their defense has been able to do, and their offense has been able to keep into tough games against the Patriots and the Detroit Lions these past few weeks. I think they're riding on some good momentum right now, so I'm going to pick the Panthers. Next up, we're going into our Sunday morning matchups. First up, the Chicago Bears, led by rookie quarterback Mitchell Trubisky in his second start of the season, going to Baltimore to take on the Ravens.
I have to say hands down on this one, I have to take Baltimore. Chicago hasn't been playing the best of ball. They're off to a 1-4 start, and I don't really see them bouncing back past 6 wins.
Yes, that is true, but I'm going to go with the Ravens, just like you. Mitchell Trubisky is going to have to go up against a Ravens defense that can be tough at times. They're going to have to really rely on their run game to help out Mitchell Trubisky as much as they can, which they'll use to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I don't think the Ravens defense is going to collapse the same way that the Steelers defense is, so I'm going to pick the Ravens here. Next up, we got the 0-5 Cleveland Browns going to Houston to take on the Deshaun Watson-led Texans.
A slaughterhouse match here. Houston was almost able to hold off the Kansas City Chiefs, losing only by a couple of scores late in the game. Off to a 2-3 start, but against an 0-5 Cleveland team that hasn't shown much room of improvement between seasons, I can't see Cleveland taking a win here.
Yes. Good points. I'm also going with the Houston Texans as well. Deshaun Watson has been playing amazing football these past few weeks. He's been doing really well. They got the weapons around him on offense. They got DeAndre Hopkins, Will Fuller as wide receivers there. I don't see how the Cleveland Browns could pull out a win against this Texans team. I think the cards are just stacked too much against them. So, I'm going with the Houston Texans. Our next matchup here is the Green Bay Packers, led by Aaron Rodgers, who just pulled off a last-minute victory against the Dallas Cowboys, going to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. It's a good rivalry matchup here. Who do you got?
Yeah, Green Bay on this one. Green Bay has really been showing off some dynamic plays with their 4-1 start. Aaron Rodgers has always been a dynamic and elite quarterback who can make plays when he's needed to. This Minnesota Vikings defense, I think he should have no problems finding his receivers and making decent plays.
Okay. I'm also going with the Green Bay Packers again, just like you. Green Bay, like you said, Aaron Rodgers, he is just phenomenal. He is an all-star quarterback, elite, top of the shelf. With the weapons that he has there, I don't think that the Minnesota defense, they can put up a fight, but I think when it comes down to it, Aaron Rodgers is going to be able to pull it out in the end. Our next matchup is going to be the Detroit Lions going down to New Orleans to take on the Saints.
A good matchup. The Saints are off to a 2-2 start since they've already taken their bye week. Detroit Lions off to a 3-2 start, where Matthew Stafford is working for that contract. He's really showing off what a quarterback he is and why he's got the deal that he does.
So you're going with the Lions?
The Lions.
Lions? Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Lions as well. I like Matthew Stafford's play as of late. His stat sheet hasn't really been too impressive, but if you've been watching the games, you can see he's making good decisions, moving the ball across the field, managing the clock, and he's always dangerous in those fourth quarter comebacks. The Saints' passing defense is one of the worst secondaries in the NFL. I think that Matthew Stafford and Lions will have a fun time carving up this D. Next up, we got the Miami Dolphins traveling to Atlanta to take on the Falcons.
On this one, Atlanta was off to a great 3-0 start before they lost in Week 4. They're really, even though they're off to a 3-2 start, are still not one of the elite teams in the NFL. They're pushing their way through with what they have, but I don't think they can pull out a win over this. Wait, which game are we talking about?
The Dolphins and the Falcons.
I don't know where I got off to. 2-2 start against the Atlanta Falcons, who are 3-1 currently. Atlanta's got great weapons with Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, and Miami doesn't have that offensive je ne sais quoi with Jay Cutler as quarterback. They're currently working with.
So you're going with which team? Falcons? Alright. I'm going to go with the Falcons as well here. The Ryan Tannehill injury really hurt this Dolphins team back in the training camp. Big blow. They did sign Jay Cutler, but their offense hasn't really looked too impressive these past few weeks. Atlanta, they're the defending NFC champions. Playing in their own dome, I think that Atlanta's going to come away with the victory on this one. Next up, we're going to the AFC East as New England Patriots take on the surprising New York Jets as of late.
This will really be an interesting matchup. The New England Patriots are off to a surprising 3-2 start after taking a Week 1 loss to Kansas City. The Jets are right above them in the division, but with a tying record. It's really going to show off to how well Tom Brady, MVP he still is, opposed to what the Jets have as their newer offensive weapons.
Can you repeat the team that you said you would pick?
I'm going to go with the Patriots on this one.
The Patriots, okay. Yeah, I'm going to go with New England Patriots as well. I don't see Tom Brady losing to the Jets at this point of the season. Even though they do have the same record, you can never count out Tom Brady out. I think he wants to go out there, win another championship or two. They do have that drive. The defense is a bit of an issue right now, but I personally believe that the Patriots can outscore the New York Jets in this one. Our next matchup to finish up the morning games, the San Francisco 49ers going to an 0-5 start will be playing the Washington Redskins.
This really isn't even a toss-up match. It's a 2-2 Washington team versus a San Francisco team that's going 0-5. They haven't shown much progression in the last few years, staying within 2 to 4 wins for the most part. I think this is no doubt about it going to be a Washington win here.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I'm picking the Washington Redskins as well. I just think that led by Kirk Cousins, this Washington team is going to outscore the 49ers. The 49ers have been playing some decent football as of late, but I think the Redskins are just going to simply outscore them. I think this isn't going to be a close match at all. Now we'll be going into our Sunday afternoon games here, starting off with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going off to play the Arizona Cardinals with the recently acquired Adrian Peterson.
This really is an interesting match. Arizona has started off a 2-3 record, is 2-2 after their Week 1 miss with the Hurricane. Really a toss-up match, but I think Tampa Bay has weapons to do this with Jameis Winston, with Matthew Evans. I think Tampa Bay will pull this one out.
Yeah, I think the Buccaneers will also win this one. Arizona, their offense has been kind of lackluster as of late. They, even with some of these weapons they have there, I think that the younger talent of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will ultimately pull out in the end. Our next matchup here has been two teams that have done surprisingly well so far in this early part of the season. The Los Angeles Rams will be playing the Jacksonville Jaguars. Who do you got?
I really have to take the Rams on this one. Jacksonville outscored the Pittsburgh Steelers last week, but it was because Pittsburgh had thrown 5 interceptions, 2 of which were taken back for pick sixes. I think LA has been able to make the moves without relying on defensive turnovers and really just show a dynamic side to football. Todd Gurley is playing outstanding football. He's making big runs. He's making a name for himself, as well as Jared Goff. A duo that can't stand to see Jacksonville win over them.
Okay. I'm also going to go with Los Angeles here. The Rams, like I said, the offense has been playing great football. They did kind of stumble a little bit against the Seahawks, only scoring about, I think, 10 points. But even so, on their first drive and on their last drive, they were moving the ball down the field pretty well against the Seahawks defense. I think they will run into some problems against the Jacksonville defense, like you said, but ultimately I think the Rams will be the one to pull out a victory in this one. Our next matchup here is a rematch of the AFC divisional round game last year. The Pittsburgh Steelers, who are currently struggling off their offense on last week's performance, going to Kansas City to face the Chiefs, who are the only undefeated team in the league so far.
Truly passionate game, especially between me and you, being fans of both teams respectively. But I see the Kansas City 5-0 team, even though they've lost players, they're taking rookie players and making them play dynamic roles, and that's why they're 5-0. Against this struggling Pittsburgh offense, even though they're off to a 3-2 start, watch their gameplay. They lost to Jacksonville last week, and it almost looks sloppy. Ben Roethlisberger threw 5 interceptions last week, 2 pick sixes, ultimately gave Jacksonville more touchdowns than Blake Bortles did.
Okay, interesting points there. I'm despite being a fan of the Steelers, I'm also going to pick the Kansas City Chiefs in this matchup here. The Steelers' offense this whole season, it just hasn't really been clicking too much. It's not the explosive offense that we expect from a team with this much talent. Ben last week, like you said, 5 interceptions. He has been playing his best football. Really, the only player on that offense who's really been playing consistently well is Antonio Brown. But other than that, I think their defense is good. It is improving. But I think going up against the Kansas City Chiefs is just a matter of who can be able to squeeze out points more. And I think in this matchup, it's not going to be all field goals. Kansas City Chiefs is going to pull out a W in this one. Now for our final Sunday afternoon game, we're going to have the Los Angeles Chargers with their first one of the season last week going up against the Oakland Raiders, who are going to be without Derek Carr.
The Oakland will take the win. Derek Carr is on the questionable roster, trying to come back after only 2 weeks. With Oakland, will play him, but even still, I think Phillip Rivers and the LA Chargers don't have the offensive to take down this Oakland defense.
Okay. I'm going to actually go with the Chargers in this matchup. I think having to play without Derek Carr is going to be a big blow to this offense. They're going to have to rely on E.J. Manuel and their running game. And I think that the Chargers, despite having blown fourth quarter leads consistently over the past year, I think they're going to go into the black hole and be able to squeeze out a win here against this Oakland Raiders team. Now we're going to go to a Sunday night matchup here. The New York Giants, 0-5, decimated with injuries to the wide receiver and across the defense, going to Denver to play the Broncos.
This is really another one of those matchups where it's not even a toss-up. Denver has been playing outstanding football with Trevor Siemian as quarterback. They've truly rounded him into what they need him to be. They have a great defense, and I don't think Eli Manning is going to be able to get rolling against this Denver defense.
Yes, I'm going to go with Denver as well. Like you said, it's not even a toss-up. We saw how poorly the Giants' offense played without Odell Beckham Jr. Week 1 against the Dallas Cowboys. And now they're going to go up against a tougher Denver Broncos defense. They're going to have even less weapons on the offense other than just missing Odell Beckham. Going into Mile High Stadium, I think it's just going to be a slaughterfest here. Denver Broncos all the way. And now we're here for our final picks, the Monday night matchup on ESPN. We got the Indianapolis Colts, most likely without Andrew Luck, going up to play the Tennessee Titans, who more than likely are going to be without Marcus Mariota.
Tennessee still takes a win in this. Indianapolis without Andrew Luck is a truly struggling offense. Tennessee has managed to put Matt Castle in that spot, and he's playing decent football. He's taken them 2-3. Indianapolis is also 2-3, but I don't think Indianapolis can really until they have Andrew Luck back.
Okay. I'm also going to go with the Tennessee Titans. I think their running game has been pretty good as of late. They've had with DeMarco Murray and Derrick Henry as their running backs. Colts offense has been steadily improving a little bit with Jacoby Brissett as a quarterback, but I think the Tennessee Titans will be able to pull out to victory. I think it's going to be a close one, but the Tennessee Titans will be able to pull it out on Monday Night Football. Alright, so that is all that we have for this week. Join us next week. We'll be going over any news in the NFL, maybe also some news and stuff about the MLB postseason as that heads into the conference series next week. We'll also be going over picks for Week 7 of the NFL. Thank you. Be sure to like the video down below, leave a comment. If you want to get updated on when our next podcast is going to be out, click the subscribe button down below. I've been here with Nick. Thank you for watching, and we'll have another podcast later.